Dun, 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 dun. I feel like a Christmas, Santa, animated Santa. But that was supposed to be the Flash running, complete with Shirley Walker theme from the Flash TV series, early 90s. Actually, I don't know if did Danny Elfman make the main theme? Danny Elfman might have done the main theme, and Shirley Walker did the music for the rest of the Flash early 90s TV series. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by, coming your way to review something that I'd wanted to see ever since I found out about the Michael Keaton involvement and the original Batman involvement and stuff. But figuring that it was mostly going to be crap, I didn't want to pay a cent to see it. It finally arrived on Prime recently to watch for free, and I scrambled to actually watch The Flash. Coming your way to review the 2023 theatrical quote-unquote blockbuster by the name of The Flash. Dun 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 dun. So basically, my history with the character of the Flash started in the early '90s when the TV show Flash TV show aired. I don't think I watched a whole hell of a lot of it, but then later on, a couple years later, they'd end up putting out the pilot on VHS, and then later on the two-part episode with Mark Hamill, the Trickster. They'd actually released that on VHS as The Flash 2. So in the early 90s, I did get those two, the Flash pilot, TV show pilot, and the Flash 2, which is just, the two-part episode with Mark Hamill as the Trickster. So I've been a fan of like that version of the Flash ever since the early 90s, and have since gotten the DVD complete collection and things. Actually, this makes me, maybe I should make Beth watch the the original Flash series, because in the winter there's nothing to do but sit in front of the TV and get fat. But yeah, that's my history with the Flash. I was never a big comic book reader. I never liked to read, even if it had drawings like comic books. Obviously, like when I was a kid in the 80s, I thought comic books were for babies until like 1989, and the Michael Keaton Batman was out, and all of a sudden I changed my, well, actually I watched Superman, I guess, the original Christopher Reeves movie, I guess, growing up. But until like Batman came out in 89, I was kind of like poo-pooed, like superhero movies. Like that movie, Batman 89, really changed the course of like superhero movies, I think. It's just like nothing was ever the same after Batman 89, but still after that I wasn't crazy. I wasn't a comic, I tried to get into comic books, but they just weren't my forte, so I gave it up. Movies were and are my forte. So and I don't know if I might have mentioned it on this channel on radio shows or other reviews or stuff, but I did end up, oh no, me and Matt last year were talking about superhero movies or some crap, and I think I brought up The Flash, the more recent television series, from the whatever 2000 teens decade. And I have a lot of those seasons. I don't have all of them, but I really kind of liked the more recent Flash TV show, because I liked, ever since the early 90s, I liked the character of the Flash, or at least how it was portrayed in the 90s TV show or whatever. So the idea of the Flash was just really kind of cool idea to me. And over the years, when they kept making all these movies and DC got into making movies and this and that, and even Justice League and stuff, I'm just like, kind of like with the Green Hornet, the Green Hornet was kind of a character that I kind of liked because of the cliffhanger serials and old-time radio shows and stuff. And the Green Hornet never got his due, and then finally got a movie, and who the hell's playing him? Fucking Seth Rogen? Are you fucking kidding? So they make the Green Hornet movie a freaking Seth Rogen comedy. And I gotta tell you, I don't think I've ever reviewed Green Hornet, but it's not all horrible. Like if you were to replace him with Seth Rogen and, maybe put a real person in that role and change up the tone a little bit, it would be actually okay. Like there's some things about Green Hornet movie, like the car, and even Kato, I think, is pretty cool. He like listens to classical music. There's not all, Green Hornet movie isn't a complete loss, but it's just a bummer that he finally gets a movie and it's like Seth Rogen. And then same thing with The Flash. It's like The Flash never got a movie in all these years. The original TV show, then the new TV show, Justice League, and I want to say I only saw that once, but I want to say this frickin' annoying guy, which might as well be a 21st century Eddie Deason. I think he was the Flash in the Justice League, and even though I only saw that once, I think that guy really put me off. And I know that there's like, you know, story about that guy, a personal life story or whatever, and you know, I can definitely say it's very believable. That's all I can say. And it's just you know, I was really excited when the news about like Michael Keaton reprising his role as Batman for the Flash, because by this time, you know, the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse thing was all a huge hit. So now everyone's doing the, you know, the multiverse bullshit, and of course this movie has to do the multiverse thing as well. And I never saw this, you know, the Spider-Man movie with Spider-Verse yet, or this is like I think my first multiverse movie, and I gotta admit it's kind of fun, but it's just because it's new, you know, because I've never seen it before or whatever. So cut to me seeing this movie, and actually just because of, you know, I started it late at night, and also because of just like being like nearly 2.5 hours long with this fucking this guy, this annoying guy is not only in it as one performer, but he's in it as two performers. You got to deal with this guy throughout this whole movie with two versions of him on screen at almost all times. So I wasn't able to even watch it in one viewing, mostly because I started it late at night. But you know, I did the first hour, and then one day, and went back and finished it the next day. And I got to tell you, I don't know if I even would have been able to do this whole thing at once, even if I hadn't have been tired. But one thing I'll say is, oh my God, this guy who plays Barry Allen, it's like, holy shit. You know, you go from early '90s and John Wesley Shipp to the guy in the more recent TV show who's pretty good. I mean, I think the Barry Allen of the more recent TV show is pretty good. And then you cut to this guy, which I think the first time he, you know, portrayed the Flash was the Justice League movie, I think. And I'm just like, why the fuck is this guy, you know, who is this guy? And why the hell is he Barry Allen / the Flash? I mean, like I say, this guy's just an annoying, comes across as annoying creepo. I just don't get it. And not only is he annoying just once, you know, just having him be one person on the screen, but like I say, the majority of this movie, he portrays two roles, having conversations with them. There's so many scenes in this movie where it's him just talking to himself, and oh my God. But anyway, the brief history with this, or not history, the story of this movie, if you don't know, is just, I don't know if this whole dad being accused of killing his mom thing was something that was in the comic books, or something that the more recent show started, and the movie, you know, the movie just went with that canon, or what. You know, me not being a comic book reader, I don't know if his, you know, Barry Allen's dad being accused of killing his mom is something that was in the comic books, you know, before the more recent TV show and before this movie. But I know the recent TV show did it, and now the Flash movie does it, where it's like he wants to go back in time and, you know, change things so his mom doesn't die, and he does that, and he screws up the space-time continuum. I'm trying to do Doc Brown. Great Scott! Right there. But he screws up the space-time continuum because he goes back and saves his mom. Everything else is screwed up. And I'll admit, there's some funny things in this movie. Not the whole thing is a loss, just 98% of the movie is a loss. There's like 2 or 3% of actual like stuff that was clever that somehow worked its way in here. But seeing this guy, you know, my biggest problem with the movie is this guy. I'd rather have Seth Rogen be the Flash actually than this guy. That's how bad this guy is, in my opinion. This guy who plays Barry Allen / the Flash. Holy Hannah. Completely annoying. So the whole subject, you know, the whole plot of the movie is just him, you know, screwing up the space-time continuum to save his mom, and then towards the end it's like, gosh, maybe you know, saving mom wasn't worth screwing up everything else, you know, and having you know, the Ben Affleck Batman, of course, becomes Michael Keaton Batman, which I, you know, being of the age I am and being 12 when the Michael Keaton Batman came out in theaters, I'm like, I'm all about Michael Keaton Batman, and you know, oh my God. So, and one thing that I cannot believe is just so overdone in this movie is the CG. Like, I was so unbelievably like disappointed that I don't know if it's for every single instance. It might be, but it's like for sure the majority of the time when like Barry Allen is in like Flash getup, what it is, I couldn't believe it. Is it's like, oh, it's too much trouble to manufacture a Flash suit, so we'll just put his, we'll put him acting out the lines in like a Flash mask, and then we'll put that head on a CGI body. I couldn't fucking believe it. So like whenever he's the Flash, even if he's not moving around all fast, he's just standing there talking. It's like CG body with like his actual frickin' head in the Flash hood attached to it, and I just, oh my god, it's like, is this the future of movies? Just having everything be CG except the face, and oh my god, like that was just so freaking annoying. One of the cool things about the early 90s TV show was just how cool the suit looked, in reality, like just for the purposes of making the show. The suit looked so cool and like all, whatever, muscular, because it just, fit his frame or his body or whatever. Like just the suit of the original TV show and the color of it and just the fit and all this and that was just so cool. Cut to decades later, we're not even going to do a real suit. It'll be just CG body and head attached. Oh my god. But one thing I will say, and the whole reason I watched this, I probably would have watched it anyway, or at least tried to, but the whole reason I watched this, obviously, was for Michael Keaton coming back to reprise, Bruce Wayne / Batman. And I got to tell you, having seen, the original film in the drive-in and then the second run theater when I was, 12 years old, and I just love the original Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson Batman movie. And for me, it was just going to be my all-time favorite Batman movie forever. Like, I was surprised like how crappy this movie overall was, and then like how then when it came to the Bruce Wayne / Batman stuff, like the Michael Keaton stuff, they were so faithful to like the production design of that movie from '89. Like, I don't know if they used the same building for the exterior or not, but like the interior, like it gave me chills. Like, wow, the production design for like the inside of Bruce Wayne's house or mansion, whatever the hell you want to call it, for this movie was so accurate to the '89 original Michael Keaton Batman movie that it's like, God, did they keep the sets and they're just, it just blew my mind for, because up until then the movie was just a bunch of bullshit, and it's like, wow. And talk about goosebumps when Barry Allen, or I should say Barry Allen's enter the Bruce Wayne house or mansion, whatever you want to call it. And it's just like you see the 1989 Batman movie, what might as well just be the set, the sets or the location or whatever. And it's just like, oh my god, and having that guy with the beard and stuff and the sweatpants and the cardigan, like, oh, I'm like, because, oh, that must be Bruce Wayne, and the fight with whatever and the Flash and stuff. And one thing I thought was kind of cool about this is, he meets himself when he was younger, a teenager or whatever. And what ends up happening is, he loses, I can't remember how, there was some lightning bolt or some crap, and main Flash loses his power, and then the teenager version of him gets the power, so he's got to teach himself how to do Flash stuff, which I thought was some of the stuff that I thought was, okay, that's kind of clever. Like him, lightning bolt takes away his Flash power and gives his younger self the Flash power, and then he's got to teach himself how to do it. And that was the only part that I thought was kind of clever. But what the hell was I saying? Oh, okay, so the introduction of Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne and Batman, and it was just like to see him back in that role again. In what's so great about it is that it was like I say, the faithfulness of the Bruce Wayne, not only exterior but interior of like his mansion to the 1989 Batman movie was just done so well. And even when he wasn't Batman and I was just sitting there listening to being like Bruce Wayne, even in that, just the surroundings of like the 1989 set of Bruce Wayne mansion, it's just like, oh my god, I don't think tears welled up in my eyes, but I was definitely like goosebumps and just like 12 again, just being like, oh wow. And the more Michael Keaton was on the movie as like Bruce Wayne, just talking, or Batman or whatever, the more I wish, God damn it, it's too bad he couldn't have been in mid to late 90s just in more Batman movies, because like, oh my God, just the nostalgia of Michael Keaton as Batman, Bruce Wayne slash Batman again was just so cool, and the way they roll in, of course, the Danny Elfman, 89 Batman music, and the car, they showed the car, but the car doesn't do anything. The kind of a more sleek Batwing is featured mostly, of course, and let's face it, yeah, a lot of the Batman kicking ass is just like with so much of, well, basically all the fights in this movie. Basically, when there's an action scene, the whole movie just goes into CG mode. Like there's probably not a stuntman, a physical actual stuntman. I want to say even when Ben Affleck appeared as Batman, like they didn't have a costume, they just had a CG body for Ben Affleck Batman and the head attached, I think. It's just like, whenever someone's doing anything but talking, it's like CG. There's a dialogue scene in a room, like that might actually be real in film, but if there's like a action scene or a full body shot of someone doing something, like if it's a superhero, it's pretty much just CG, which it's just like, God, they're too lazy to even like make costumes. I think Michael Keaton, when he wasn't fighting and stuff, might have actually been in the, like, if he just was walking around, like he might have been actually in a full body costume. I'm not sure, but I gotta say, Michael Keaton back as Batman, even if he is considerably, his face is all squashed in like the cowl thing, and it's all wrinkly and just whatever. It would have been nice if they could have, like, I don't know, made it look not so squashed and wrinkly or whatever. But even as horrible as like the movie is, like, and yeah, I'd buy the Blu-ray for like $5 or less just to like skip to the Michael Keaton stuff pretty much, and just that's it. But yeah, I guess that'll pretty much be my review of The Flash. And one thing that I thought was, the other thing that I thought was actually a competent story plot point is like by having, see, because obviously, with Barry Allen lost his mother, and the whole premise of this movie is him trying to cheat, run back in time and change things so his mom doesn't die, but that screws everything else up. And one of the other competent aspects of this movie that I'll say is that, having Barry Allen like talk to Bruce Wayne, he lost both his kids lost both his parents as a young kid, so Bruce Wayne can kind of talk to Barry Allen about, what, losing my parents sucked, but it made me stronger, made me who I am today, and kind of talking Barry Allen into going back and having his mom die. It was just kind of a goofy thing. It kind of reminded me of that bit in Man of Steel when, Superman, or, Clark could have saved his dad, and Kevin Costner was like, no, don't do it. The whole idea of like saving, successfully saving your mom and then going back and there's a scene towards the end where he goes back and, undoes the thing he did to save her, and kind of just like, kind of pathetic and kind of poignant at the same time. Like, I'm basically killing you, Mom, because you're meant to be dead. Like, this is how things are supposed to be. And, but that was kind of like take it or leave it. But the whole aspect of having, Bruce Wayne kind of tell Barry Allen that, losing my parents, made me who I am, for better or worse or whatever. And just that juxtaposition of like, a couple superheroes getting together, talking about loss, and maybe you should go back and undo saving your mom and fix so everything can go back to normal or whatever. Kind of interesting. So a couple plot points in this whole disaster of a movie that are actually competent, but everything else is just like, oh my God. It's basically turning the superhero movie into it's like mostly comedy with I guess they kind of started with, I don't know, well, maybe not started with, but Shazam was another one where it was kind of like, is this like a superhero movie or a comedy? Like, I know it's both or whatever, but I mean, The Flash definitely seems more of a comedy, 75% comedy, quote unquote comedy, corporate comedy, and 25% superhero movie. It's just like, what a disaster. So, I don't know, 1 star might be too much for The Flash. We'll go 3/4 of a star out of 4 stars. For The Flash, I'll just say The Flash movie, even though it's like not called The Flash movie, it's called The Flash, the movie that is The Flash. Yeah, I mean, of course, like so many movies these days, way longer than it needs to be. The guy is just so... How this guy ended up as Barry Allen, aka The Flash, I have no fucking... I don't know if we gotta blame Zack Snyder for that. Possibly, but Jesus Christ, what an annoying guy, and how the hell did he ever become, you know, being put in these high-profile, quote-unquote, blockbuster action movies? What, feel free to let me know, and I won't give you any grief in the comments, but if you like this guy, like as a performer, feel free to let me know, and I'll go, okay, you know, more power to it, you know, to each their own or whatever, but, holy Toledo, that guy is just annoying, and it's doubled, you know, it's like, it's the Jean-Claude movie from the early 90s, Double Impact, you know, it's like, don't fuck up, you know, psst, psst, watch my back, don't fuck up, see, like double the Van Damage, like this is just double the, who the fuck is this guy, annoying bullshit, but oh my god, maybe there were a few moments that were funny, like him vibrating through the floor in his, you know, robe, and his robe stays, and you hear screams down below. Like, you know, not everything was a loss, but like I say, most everything was a loss. Feel free to let me know what you thought of this movie. If you've seen it, if you haven't, you're lucky, because you probably have a few more IQ points than I do now, but I guess that'll do it for the review. Thanks so much for watching if you made it this far. If you didn't make it this far, you won't be hearing this shit. And if you didn't make it this far, why, I oughta. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, we will dun 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 dun. Catch you next time.